We all have those movies in our lives. Those movies that we went and saw in the theaters when we were kids and they just stuck with you to adulthood. The Wild Robot is going to be one of those movies for this generation. So, if you're looking for a non spoiler review of The Wild Robot, let's jump on in. The Wild Robot is something incredibly special, which isn't surprising because the man who wrote and directed this film, Chris Sanders, has the most storied pedigree in the world of animation. This is a guy who worked on so many incredible films from my childhood. He was one of the story guys on Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, The Lion King. He directed How to Train Your Dragon, Lilo and Stitch. He is an absolute pillar of the resurgence of Disney animation. And so I wasn't surprised to see that he had written The Wild Robot because of what this film actually delivered. Like I said, there's films growing up that really stick with you. And for me, there's several of those. Some that come to mind are The Lion King in 94. I remember watching that in theaters and it blowing me away. Toy Story in 1995, just the style, the newness sticking with me, and just the imagination and the writing and the characters. And then in 2001 with Spirited Away, just recapturing my imagination, sparking adventure and dreaming, and just all of these amazing things that come with story, good stories. That is all something present here with The Wild Robot. And so it's not surprising that Chris Sanders is a part of it. The film is about Roz, who is a robot who gets shipwrecked on this island, and she's trying to figure out who she is and how does she fulfill her purpose as a robot. But as she moves through the story, meeting animals, meeting all these great characters, she's learning about who she is as a robot, but also who she could be. And that's where the true gold in this story lies. There are so many amazing things in this film, and so let's jump in and talk about a few of them. The first thing that I have to say, because it's the most apparent when you first start watching this film, is the visual style and the art of this film is absolutely mind-blowing. It is easily one of the most beautiful films I've seen in the past decade in terms of animation. It really made me think of Moana. I don't know if people saw Moana in the theaters, but it had that look. It had something unique, a pop. Like, it's like they had figured out something with that film of how to make everything just pop, from the colors to the movement to the flow of the characters. And that is something that's all happening here in The Wild Robot. Every single frame of this movie could be paused and be like, that is a work of art. I've truly come to appreciate this more just because I've been working on an animated feature for the past several years, and just seeing the amount of work and time that these artists put into this, it really brings it to a new perspective for me, for the absolute passion and skill that these guys bring to the table. The second thing is specifically Chris Sanders. In working in animated film and my history at Marvel and now working on this animated film now, there's something that you can bring to the table for animation. It does something to us, right? It captures you. It really grabs you and pulls you in, and it makes you feel this really unique feeling like you're a kid again. It has a unique ability to do that most live action just does not have. There's something truly magical about it, right? And The Wild Robot absolutely captures that, and Chris Sanders captures that with his storytelling. The story is so strong. And without spoiling anything, the reason the story is strong is because this script, you can tell, has a huge element of lived experience. You can tell that Chris, as well as a lot of the artists that did these storyboards and character riggings and color, they brought something extremely personal to the screen. There's something really personable about the dialogue and the locations and the characters and how they interact with each other. There's amazing themes here of purpose and growth. And just as a parent, there's some amazing themes of parenting here and what it looks like to be a parent and that journey of being a parent. They capture the essence of what some of those feelings are. And that is what brings this script to something just different. It's special. There's something unique about it. I laughed a lot in this movie and I cried a lot. The emotional depth and resonance of the themes and the story are so incredible in this movie. And those themes are also very relatable. And that's what makes this movie rise above the rest. The third thing I'll point out that I really loved, because there's too many things really to capture about the film, but the third thing was really the music. The score and the sound design and the music, it really all came together so beautifully. It really weaves for us a story just with the music. I think you could actually take out all the dialogue of this film and you would still understand fully what's going on emotionally just because of the music and the sound design. That is hard to do and it's very, very special. I will say though, this film wasn't perfect, so I'm going to share a couple things that I didn't like. The first thing that I didn't like is the speed of the edit and the story. This film is very frantic. It flies. I mean, the first 30 minutes of this film, I felt like I couldn't breathe. Now, that might have been the desire of the filmmakers of Chris Sanders, but it's still just, I wanted to live a little bit more in these spaces. And the first half of the movie just really moves so fast. Another one of the things that I didn't love about the film is that I think there was a weird balance with this film in terms of like comedy and emotional resonance that just didn't always work. There was a couple things that are pretty brutal in this film, and you're like, oh, it's an animated, PG movie, but there are some things in this movie where you're like, whoa, that's really dark. Now, parenting can be dark. Like the themes that we are exploring in this film absolutely can be dark. I just think that a few moments really felt out of place for where my heart was as I was watching the film. From an entertainment standpoint, this film is maybe one of the best films of the year so far. I mean, it is insanely entertaining. This was an easy 10 out of 10 for me. I don't give these out very often, and so you can know that this is one of those movies. It's a 10 out of 10 for entertainment. I would probably give it a 9 out of 10 for a critics rating simply because of those issues that I talked about. It's not perfect, but it's just nearly there. So averaged out for me a 9.5 out of 10 for The Wild Robot. Like I said, from a badge standpoint, this film needs to be seen. So it's absolutely a popcorn bucket. And I will say this is one of those movies that you have to see in theaters. I really encourage you, I don't want to force you, but I encourage you to go see this film in theaters. The reason being, like I've said in the past, we want to support these types of films. This film is fun, it's engaging, it's heartfelt, it is beautiful in many different ways. And so as moviegoers and as movie lovers, we want to support that. And so going to the theater is how we do that. That's how you vote with your money, people. It's just the reality. It's why I started this channel in the first place. I want to tell people, is it worth it to go see this movie in the theaters, or is it fine waiting? We want to support movies like this. So I highly encourage you to go Take your family to see this film. It's a little scary at points, but not that bad. It really has that classic feel to it. And it's not necessarily a Disney feel, which I really loved. It's something new, it's something fresh. Chris Sanders brought us something very, very special. This story about Roz the robot in the wild is something that's going to resonate with everybody in the age spectrum. It's going to resonate with little kids, it's going to resonate with grandparents, and there won't be a dry eye in the house. I mean, I was in a packed theater and we were all crying together. There was a cathartic experience about it of being in a theater, crying with the people next to you, just at a beautiful story and a well executed film that really does something special. So I highly encourage you to head to the theater and see The Wild Robot. If you're looking for non-spoiler movie reviews from a filmmaker perspective, hit that subscribe, hit that like. Would love to have you a part of this community with me. Drop in the comments below if you saw The Wild Robot, and if you did, what did you think about it? I would love to hear what impacted you most down in the comments. And until next time, everybody, peace out.